We'll need that. All right, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is time for hashtag Woodbine Live. Welcome back. Another 2 hours straight of watching the races from Woodbine and gambling with two of my favorite people, Emily Gullikson and Ashley Mailloux. Emily, of course, coming to us again, a partner at Optics EQ, and of course, a horse player, handicapper, analyst at Brisnet. Emily, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. We got all of our stories out of the way. We're fresh out of the dentist. Both Ashley and I were ready to do this, get distracted by some horses.
Ashley, of course, everything going on in the world. You don't even know probably what's going on in the world because you've been so busy today running around. You gave us the whole rundown. Of course, when things are slightly normal, you're the paddock handicapper at Fort Erie. For now, we've got you for the next couple of hours talking about Woodbine. How has your day been?
Horrible. So hopefully it's going to get better. I feel like I haven't stopped. So this is actually like really exciting to just relax, hopefully make some money, play the horses.
Yeah, this should be therapeutic for all of us. Let's go ahead and pull up the screen here. Woodbine, we've got the 6th race coming up. By the way, if you're in Canada, you can watch on TSN Racing Night Live, TSN in Canada. If you're not in Canada, if you're in the US, you want to watch the races from Woodbine with that beautiful production value of TSN, you could catch it on America's Best Racing's YouTube channel. So Racing Night Live, you could catch there. But keep us up the entire time because we're going to give you winners like we have just about every single week that we've been on. We've got 3 races coming up from Woodbine here, races 6, 7, and 8 to close out the card there. Then we've got the first 3 races from Woodbine Mohawk coming up. And we'll have Robert Reed Jr., author of the Horse Players Journal for Woodbine Mohawk, joining us for those races. But let's kick it off with this one. We've got 9 minutes until race 6. You can see that 4 to 5 near the 3. That 3 horse right there is a horse named Boardroom, taking a lot of action after a really nice race last out. We can talk about pace. We could talk about a number of different things here. We've got some time. Let's kick it off, Emily, if you'd like. Boardroom, one of 2 runners for Josie Carroll here, has been red hot lately. Did you expect this kind of action on Boardroom?
I did. I mean, I think when you go through, one of the things if you're going to try to like beat a favorite, kind of quote unquote search for values, you have to really assess the favorite. And going through, I mean, Boardroom is a very legit favorite. She should be favored in here. And again, I say she's facing males this afternoon. So I do think she is a legit favorite. 4 to 5 is a little short, but I did expect her to be favored in here. Super strong debut effort, was just, very impressive, very classy. Looks like she can step up to face winners. The 627 maiden race has been really productive. It's a strong event that has held its form. So yeah, I mean, I think she's a legit favorite. In terms of the other Josie Carroll runner, it kind of looks like a prep to me, just looking at his other races. I mean, they had entered on the turf just a few days ago and scratched out of that race. So it kind of seems like maybe the turf and then getting a race off the break. I'll mention the second choice. And then if you guys have some other ideas, I'm open to it. The number 4, Lontano. I know his last race doesn't look like much on paper, broke slow, and then he had some traffic. But that race has been really productive, super productive race. I know it'll say the Ohio Derby winner, but it's kind of with the asterisks because he kind of got promoted by DQ. But overall, that race has been really strong. And then in terms of trip, it was just a really stressful trip for him. And it's just one of those efforts where it's not like a lot of trouble that just kind of stands out when you watch the replay, but it's enough trouble that the horse didn't really get his chance to run. So I'm kind of with the public right now in terms of the first 2 horses with the 3 and the 4 in this race.
All right. I like a little bit of a price in here at the moment. We'll see if the price holds. I like the 5 horse, a little bit money ride. Before I make the case, though, I want to kick it over to Ashley. Ashley, how did you see this race? Again, I mentioned the pace here. It looked like money ride and potentially the 7 horse, all inclusive, have the ability to go early. Boardroom didn't break well last out, but potentially could show more pace. How did you think that might unfold, and how did that factor into who you landed on here?
I really agree with Emily. I mean, the horses to me that stood out are the 3 Boardroom and then the 4. I agree. I mean, now 3 to 5, that's too short. Like we always talk about the price being right. And she's a girl going against boys for the first time. had a great debut. I get it, but I'm trying to go for money, and like now we see it. I keep on talking, it drops more. I just don't like that. I think the 4 is a great price. You know, another thing about Josie's other horse, another reason I'm kind of off this horse. I mean, first start for the barn, and actually I'm kind of surprised by the stats. She doesn't do well with new horses, and I think that also plays into this. Might be a prep for someone, you know, for another race. See what they kind of have working with. This is a good spot to, I guess, test it out. But I'm not a fan there. It's funny that you mentioned the 5. When I was looking at prices, I figured the 5 or the 6 would be the direction I'd go. I knew the 6 would definitely be a price, especially off that most recent effort down at Gulfstream Park. You know, I did see the Bullet Breeze, but we've talked about this from a Cassie horse. That doesn't bother me or concern me. I do think that's a sharp morning work. I liked Kazushi on the horse. So for me, if I'm playing a trifecta, the 5 and the 6, I won't steal your thunder. I'll let you talk about the 5 because I think there's a lot of upside on the 5. You know, I'd use the 6 for third. I really can't use the horse any higher because I think he's really going to have to step up if he's going to be in the top 2, just from like a figures perspective, from a setup. But, you know, I'm going to try to get a try here. I'd like the 3 and the 4. It'd be great if it came in 4-3 and then a price, just so I can get a 1 to 5 shot beat.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I think that's what we're all aiming for. Dustin here a moment ago chimed in saying that he liked the 4. If you've got picks, if you've got bets that you're throwing in right now, let us know what you're playing. We're interested in hearing that. Yeah, with Boardroom, and you mentioned the Josie Carroll numbers, especially with horses kind of early on in their careers. You know, maybe taking a race or 2 to get a horse started, but when her horses run well right off the bat, what does that mean? I kind of just ran some numbers real quick, a very small sample. Last 5 starters to win on debut and then come back in allowance or stakes company for Josie Carroll. 3 wins and 2 third-place finishes. So, you know, when they start out well for Josie, they'll come back second time out and run well too. That there is some data to back that up, even though it's a smaller sample. With the 5 horse Money Ride here, you're getting 11-1 right now. First try over the all-weather, first try at Woodbine. I think ran some of his best races on the front end at Aqueduct when he broke his maiden by 7.5 and won an allowance optional claimer by 8.5. The latter race was at this 6.5 furlong distance. 2 back at Gulfstream, ran a really nice race, was hustled out from the gate, posted a quarter in 22-3 and a half in 45-3 while taking pressure. Now, he managed to dig in and hold on for second, only getting passed by the favorite in that race, who sat off the duel. That same horse came back to win next out. And so for me, when I looked at this race, this figured to be the horse most likely to get to the lead. I thought All Inclusive could apply some pace pressure, had a pretty emphatic maiden win on June 7th, wired that field. But a little caveat, he did get loose on the lead there, and that field looks pretty bad nearly 2 months later. Just about all the horses who finished behind All Inclusive have come back and run poorly. So I think you might have a loose pace setter here in Money Ride. And really, for me, it was a straight pace play. And if you're telling me I can get 10-1, you know, I might want to put an each way bet or win place bet in here and hope that, you know, maybe Boardroom for whatever reason doesn't fire or runs into trouble, and you know, the placement would be nice. But at the very least, I know I'm going to get. I feel like I'm going to get something. I can't envision Money Ride finishing worse than second unless we see something completely unexpected. Unless Boardroom maybe shows some early speed that we didn't see last out, and maybe put some pressure on and decides to kind of wear down Money Ride. So that's the way I'm looking at it from a betting perspective. Emily, how would you bet this race if you are betting this race?
I don't think I am. I just don't see where there's going to be an opportunity. I mean, it just seems like the money's going to come in on the 4 and just kind of make that not playable. And then just in terms of exotics, there's just no value to me in the race where I see, you know, the top 2 choices being legit. So it's just kind of a pass. And then the doubles aren't looking that great either. So I can't really find any opportunities, and I feel like I'm getting kind of the best of it. I will mention, just in terms of pace, Money Ride definitely looks to be controlling speed. 1 and 7 should be able to keep her honest. 2 has a little bit of tactical speed as well, and being the other Josie Carroll horse, probably. And if they are kind of out there for fitness, I wouldn't be surprised to see them just try to send, you know, just to try to get something into it. And then in terms of Boardroom, I mean, yeah, she broke slow on debut, but even with that slow start, if I'm looking at Optics Plot, she's not that far off kind of that pace setters, those pace setters. So, you know, the pace should be honest. I would have a hard time seeing anybody get loose unless, you know, There's a lot of mistakes in the race, but there's plenty of horses here to keep it honest in terms of pace up front.
Dan, I have a question for you.
What's up?
Because you're on Money Ride. So my question is, and this is just in general, some people look into it really heavily, some don't. What do you do with the horse that's got 3 turf starts? He's only got a third. It was sprinting at Gulfstream, I believe. Now getting onto the Tapeta. Do you look into that at all, or you just say, you think he's fine? Because he's never raced over it. So I just wonder.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of going turf to all weather, you're talking about, like how? I mean,
Well, you're looking at a horse. I mean, his best races are on the dirt, right? And his
yeah,
turf races
for sure.
they're not
for sure.
stellar.
Yeah, and you're saying essentially, I mean, if you saw a little better on turf, you'd feel better about the transition to all weather here.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I just want to know, is from a handicapping perspective, how much do you look into that?
No, you're 100% right. Yeah, I absolutely believe there's a correlation between turf performance. There usually is between turf performance and all-weather performance. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a red flag here. But I do like the price. And like I said, for me, this was more or less a straight pace play. It's probably a little, I'm being a little too ambitious here if I think that this horse is going to actually beat Boardroom. But who knows? I mean, look, anything can happen. It's a race. And I think to Emily's point, I think I'm probably more concerned about Boardroom being near the front early on and being the one who actually ends up putting pressure on Money Ride than I am any of the others. I think the others are essentially cheap speed, and I think Money Ride could sort of dispatch of those and be done with them. Money Ride's a gutsy little horse based on what I've seen. Now, again, I'm just looking at, just in terms of recency, and I am looking at those dirt races. So here, let's see. Look, the 7 just got out to the lead. All Inclusive is actually on the lead now, but of course, Money Ride's going to go out there. Look, if Money Ride can open up about a length or a little bit of daylight, I'd feel good. If All Inclusive presses, I'm not as excited, obviously. So, Boardroom with nice position, just like we talked about. I mean, obviously broke a lot better today than last out.
Josie's other horse, I think, still close, but a little further back than I would have necessarily expected.
I think that has to do with the distance and the layoff a little bit, and maybe even the surface change as well. They're coming out of those longer races, just not having quite the same sprint speed in order to keep up. I mean, they went pretty quick, for this course.
Yeah.
Boardroom
45 and 2
has a lot of horse, but does have to get out and around through traffic. There she goes. And it should be game over from this point. Honestly, no excuses.
Yeah, I hope this is 35 though. I mean, look, that horse on the rails is super gutsy, still battling after 45 and 2, taking pressure the entire time. Yeah. I like that horse a lot. But look, Boardroom obviously, ran up the score there. I mean, that was easy. I mean, got the perfect setup, and it was. I mean, that's the best horse in the race. So
yeah, she's got some quality. This is just a good spot for her. I mean, you just kind of go through the field, and just in terms of. Ashley asked, what do you do in terms of, you have this unknown distance? But if your kind of fundamentals just in terms of handicapping are, is this horse fast enough? Is this horse at the right class level? Is this horse in form? Is this horse in pace? And you can check all those boxes and the horse has an advantage, then you can, and you're getting the right price, you feel like you're getting 10-1 is fair, then I would the surface chance, I'd say I'm willing to find out at that point. You don't really have a known, but in this case, I think there were some with the other horses. I mean, Boardroom obviously had her challenges, but with the other horses, you've kind of seen where they're at, and they're just not quite on this level. So in terms of that aspect, it was kind of a good spot for Boardroom to find out. She is the least exposed in a field of somewhat exposed runners.
Yeah. Ashley brought up a good point a couple of weeks ago. If you watch these races over time, especially this time of year and with everything that's gone on, you see a lot of horses coming back up from Churchill or Gulfstream or Fairgrounds. And a lot of those horses do really well, obviously, against some of the locally based horses. And so I think this is a good sort of maybe transitional start for Boardroom, facing some of these types of horses that have at least raced at you mentioned Fairgrounds, Churchill, Gulfstream, with sort of varying degrees of success. And then the next step, I would assume, is going to be a bigger target. I don't know where, but I mean, this is a really nice. I would
imagine they stretch out.
Yeah.
I imagine they go 2 turns next out.
And the head on there, it looked like, did she take a little bit of a...
She flipped leads. She flipped
yeah,
her.
you could see her.
Yeah, she flips. So she's still a little green, but I mean, it doesn't bother me too much. In like a second start, but yeah, that's what happened. That's why she kind of looked shifty. As she flipped back to that left lead.
And put Money Ride in your in your list of horses to watch out for next time. I thought that just watching replays of the horse, I was pretty impressed by how resilient he was in a lot of his races, taking a lot of pressure and still hanging in. Same thing happened there. Took a lot of pressure and hung in really nicely. And next time Boardroom is not in the race. Maybe
I mean, even looking at the others, I think 7 all inclusive ran better than we thought, right?
Very
Coming
nice.
out of a maiden that wasn't the greatest. I mean, had some early foot and ran good, but I think you're looking at the trip Boardroom got, and then you're looking at someone like Lentano, who I liked, had really no excuses in that spot. Had a great trip for the most part.
Yeah. Yep. So we have a little bit of time now between now and the next race, the 7th race coming up at Woodbine. As I mentioned, stick with us. We're going to carry you straight through till 8 p.m. We've got 3 races coming up at Mohawk as well. We'll have Robert Reed Jr. joining us shortly. Wanted to give a shout out to our friends, partners, sponsors at Dark Horse for basically supporting this show. And also, if you haven't downloaded Dark Horse, you should. I'm going to show you just a quick little video of what Dark Horse is all about. Here it is.
Dark Horse. Download the app today.
I've been messing around with it a little bit myself. It's been fun. The Cube is their sort of wizard algorithm-based program that spits out horses at you and tells you who to bet in each race. So you could do that if you're in the U.S. You could play on free mode. If you're in Canada, again, you could play for cash. By the way, the NBA starts tonight. Toronto has a pretty decent basketball team, from what I hear. So anybody watching from Woodbine, good luck with the NBA season. I know the Lakers and the Clippers are playing tonight, and so even though I haven't really followed all the build-up back to them resuming, I still got some action in on FanDuel tonight because why not bet? And FanDuel is doing a really cool promotion. Listen to this. Tell me how cool this would be if an ADW that we had access to did this for horse racing. They basically, in order to get encourage people to bet on the Lakers Clippers game, they said the more money that you bet on the Lakers, the more points you get. So it started the Lakers were -4. The first few people who bet, it moved to -2. Then the next 100 or 1,000 people who bet, it moved to basically Clippers -1. And then it kept going and going and going. The Lakers are now getting 30 points if you bet on FanDuel, and even if you bet early, you actually get the Lakers at closing odds. So that's a pretty cool little gimmick, I think. So I went on there. I obviously threw $50 on the Lakers because they're not going to lose by 30, are they? So I don't know. Do y'all sports bet at all, or am I just kind of speaking into?
I don't. I don't. I occasionally here and there, but it's soccer, so not any hoops.
I was waiting for a very political answer when she stopped for a second when Emily's and then
she's Dan, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Just shut up.
Again, you guys know where I live, so I think I kind of stopped myself before incrimination. I'll leave it at that.
Oh my God! Oh, that's true, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't speak anymore either. As somebody who lives in New York and technically sports betting, not yet here on mobile. So, but I guess I could have theoretically driven up to the casino 4.5 hours from here. All right. Anyway, race 7 coming up from Woodbine. An allowance going 6 furlongs on the turf. Here's another one with a pretty interesting pace scenario. Smallish field. We also have a scratch here, the 4-horse City Boy is scratched, so an even smaller field than we originally started with. We now have only 5 horses. On paper, there are 2 pretty pronounced front-end speed horses. We got the 1-horse Real Money. He's certain to go. Then you've got Boreal Spirit, run his best races when sent early. Poor form end of the last year, but obviously has a ton of speed and maybe with some rest can fire again, can rediscover that form. Can anyone else go with them? Does it boil down to those 2 horses? Currently, we're seeing that the 3-horse is taking a little bit of money, and the 6-horse is taking a decent amount of money. Malibu Secret. Actually, let's start with you. How did you see this race?
I figured the 6 is going to take a lot of the money in here just from a class perspective. I mean, this horse was second in the Jacques Cartier. Before that was third in the Kennedy Road. And obviously we saw Pink Lloyd kind of romp last week. Has faced kind of those classier horses up at Woodbine. This is a Sampson Farms homebred who actually got claimed for 40. But, I mean, he's really done nothing wrong in those 4 most recent starts. Even the start that he was claimed out of, I mean, he was beaten by 3/4 of a length. I don't think that was honestly the strongest field, knowing that the winner, Kraken Wagon, I believe, was pointed on the Queen's Plate Trail last year and has now been kind of in the claiming ranks down at Gulfstream Park. That's the last time I've heard of that horse. So I do think from a class perspective, the 6 makes a lot of sense. This is a horse that kind of can ride or can, just be right off the pace. I mean, they've tried to put this one on the front end, hasn't been the most successful recently with that. That's where we're kind of talking about that. Has been successful. Look at the wrong horse. Was able to kind of open up on him a few starts back in the fall up at Woodbine. For me, from a price perspective, I knew the 1 Real Money would also probably take a lot of money in here just from kind of the most recent performances in the connections. But for me, the price is going to be the 3 Escaminson, 7-2 line now at 4-1. So kind of ballpark the same. 3-time winner up at Woodbine. This is one that I've seen race before. I saw this horse down at 40 last year. Finished second to Kagan, who we all know who that is, a participant in the Breeders' Cup. Yeah. But looking at this one's performances, I thought the first race off the layoff was a strong effort. I always am curious to see Emily's opinion on this. When you see an effort like that, what do you expect next time off the layoff? But I thought it was respectable. I don't think it was the toughest of groups, but I think it was a great return to the races. Kind of curious to see what this one will do next time out. And, it does only have that 1 breeze since then, respectable work. So if I'm price shopping, I'm going to go to the 3. I just don't know if the horse can beat someone such as the 6 Malibu Secret.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just on mine, Emily. I think, Ashley, your audio might be breaking up a little bit, or am I the one with the bad connection?
I heard it as well. I was, it seems like it was on Ashley's end, if you heard it as well.
Yeah. All right. All good. I think we extracted most of that. And also, Escaminson, I think figures to be sitting a pretty good trip here if the 2 horses nearest the rail both go out early as expected. Emily, what did you see when you were looking at this race?
I mean, actually, I was interested in City Boy. I thought this was kind of a good spot for him. So it's a lot of backtracking now, and again, just trying to find value. I mean, Escaminson, he had a perfect trip last time out, and he might get that again here. Just depending, he kind of sat right off the pace setters and had first run, just sort of that ideal trip. And the thing with him is he needs those type of perfect trips. I mean, going back and looking at all of his races, in order for him to get the win, he'll run a good race, but to get that win, it's like he needs kind of everything to go right, which isn't bad. This probably fits, and he's probably a good price right now. So maybe the best value on the board from that perspective. Again, if you go to the favorite, I think Malibu Secret is very legit. Looks to get a prep last time out. He has sneaky good races on the turf. I know it doesn't look like that, but going back and kind of looking through his races and just sort of analyzing them in terms of trip and class and where he is placed at, his efforts fit here. But again, not exciting to take 7-5 on. Number 5 is taking a lot more money than I would have expected. I know he's coming out of those stake races, but again, these are much longer races that he's coming out of. So he's going to take up a role as a deep closer in this spot. His first 2 races in his career were the only time sprinting. In both those races, he actually ran pretty well. Maybe that's what people are keying off of. But again, it was a closing type trip, which is pretty tough. We saw the first race. or not the first race, but the first race for us, whether it was, you wanted to be forwardly placed. I know the 6 was a little bit wide, started to make up ground. I was watching the replay to just try to get some of these perspectives, but that's a pretty hard trip to get to be like a deep closer and close over this course. You're going to need a lot of contention up front, and maybe that does happen because the 1, 2, and 3 can show speed. You figure the 6 has to put himself into the race, so maybe the 5 does get the trip. Again, like as I'm going through this, it's like I can make a case for any horse, so it'll just come down to who's the best price, and it doesn't look like it's going to be the 6. So, it could be another pass race, unfortunately, just for the way I tend to play. But we'll see when the horses come on the track. Boreal Spirit, I know we didn't mention him. He's sitting there as currently the longest price on the board. He's done some of his best racing coming off the layoff. So, and he's coming off the layoff today. So he tends to fire fresh. Ran in some stake races last year. His form kind of tailed off, but that was, he ran a really long, not a long season, but he ran those 2 big races and then kind of backed up. So this is a sort of a normal pattern to like come back, and it's like he sort of has to fire fresh because he doesn't last that long type of thing. So he wouldn't surprise me to run a good race coming back fresh for Schaefer and Stein aboard.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to elaborate on that a little bit more. First, we'll do a mic check on Ashley, simultaneously let her know that Daily Double SW has weighed in with a compliment. Did a great job at the Meadowlands.
Awesome.
My mic check? No, my phone just went to a black screen of death and doesn't work currently. So.
Oh no.
So now we're on the tablet. So no. Great.
Well, you sound good. We see you. We hear you. So I think we're good. I'm gonna talk about Boreal Spirit just a little bit. And I think Emily kind of hit on some of the high notes there. But in addition to the horse having some back form, I think when you look at those 2 most recent races in November and October, obviously you could put a line through the all-weather race. The horses obviously performed better on the turf. And then also you look at that turf race in October over the yielding course in the Arctic. The horses didn't fire, but it's also important to note that if you look back at every time the horse has caught a yielding course, he hasn't run well. So I thought for me, looking at this horse, seeing that his previous career worst races all came over yielding ground, that was significant. And the numbers he was running prior to that, whether you're looking at Beyer speed figures, Acrobase, whatever you're looking at, they were all significantly higher. And I think that they all make him a win candidate if he could run back to that level. Now, the question is, what does real money do? I mean, if real money goes and is dead set on getting to the lead, it's going to make things difficult for Boreal Spirit. But if Boreal Spirit breaks nicely and can somehow settle on the front end, I think that's potentially your sneaky play here at 8-1. We touched on the 5 horse a little bit. We'll go back to that one. Final Jeopardy, making his first start for the barn of Terry Jordan, first at Woodbine, first on the turf. Did his best running when he was trained by Jason Service. Actually finished second in the Dwyer to Code of Honor, which is unbelievable. I mean, ask anybody that question. Who finished second to Code of Honor in the Dwyer? If they come up with Final Jeopardy, they're really, really good. Or they must have just hammered the Exacta. And but yeah,
they'd probably be good at Final Jeopardy.
They'd be good at Final Jeopardy, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, this horse obviously noticeable drop off from there. Ran fairly well in Grade 3 company at Hastings and Century Downs. And then the trainer, when we did this show, I want to say about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, we were talking about Terry Jordan. He was red hot. He got off to a great start at the meet, but just 1 winner from his last 11 starts. So he's gotten a bit cold. The barn's a bit cold. I think they might just be trying to figure out what they have with this horse. We talked about sort of the distance and the turf and whatever this might be. If this is some sort of experiment or they think he has potentially a chance based on his back class to
He's currently favored. He's currently favored. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Wow.
I mean, you're going to have a deep.
Wow.
I talk about this all the time. Anytime your favorite is a deep closer, you need to kind of get involved because that is just, there's so many things that has to go right.
Well, maybe we should bet this race now.
I'm with you. I'm going to go with the 2. I mean, I'm convinced.
Good.
I don't think the one is fast enough to get the lead. I'm looking at the pace figures, looking at optics plot. He's behind the 2 and the 3, so he's not going to be able to get the lead. He's also form cycle wise kind of on an every other pattern. I can't bet the 5 at 2 to 1. I mean, maybe the 6 is creeping up there, but I don't know. Still seems a little bit short. The 3, I know Ashley's on. I think that's probably fair, but to me, it's like the 2's in a spot where this horse is either going to win today or run out. So I'm willing to make a win bet. No place, no show. We'll just see if he's going to win, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Escaminza at 5 to 1 is also insane. One other thing about Boreal Spirit, and while I don't advise people to just bet jockeys, Justin Stein, when he gets hot, he gets really hot, and for whatever reason, it seems like he wins left and right. Starts winning stakes races at 15 to 1 and 10 to 1. He's been hot lately, and he's riding Boreal Spirit. Look, I consider that a positive thing at this moment. He's riding at 20% at the meet, having himself a phenomenal meet. All those are great signs. 11 to this horse can't go off at 11 to 1. I'm having like Hitters Park flashbacks here. I mean, this horse cannot go off at 11 to 1. This is somebody's messing around.
He's gonna be legitimate. He's the longest shot in every will pay right now. They're coming up. Yeah, you see him on the screen. Yeah. So
That's silly.
I don't. Yeah.
Our friend Bruce from up in Toronto says Jordan is crafty. He thinks Terry Jordan maybe has the 5 horse here ready to shoot Final Jeopardy. Bruce, one of my favorite people in horse racing, also one of the most knowledgeable, encyclopedic memory of racing pedigree and history. Bruce, thank you for jumping on tonight. Ashley, what do you think? I mean, your horse is 9 to 2 right now. You're just going to bet a straight win bet on Escaminza?
I had to pull up the PPs. I had to redo my setup now. So I had to fire up the laptop. That's right behind my tablet. That's what I've been doing. So I got the PPs. Straight win, probably. I mean, for 5 to 1, I think it's a great price on this horse. I did say earlier, though, I'm a little concerned, too. I mean, now the 6 is floated up to 5 to 2. That kind of maybe swayed my opinion that I can do a 6-3 exacta, because I even mentioned that. To me, the 6 kind of stuck out. And I'm okay with the 1 taking more money. That's fine by me. So 5 to 2 and 5 to 1, I'm happy with those odds. I mean, you can see the odds dramatically have shifted since my whole crash on here. So, yeah.
And it looks like sorry to cut you off. Looking at the will pays, that the 1 is probably going to be the favorite.
Yeah, and then we always talk.
And the 5 and the 6 are kind of fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait to see the double payouts here. But to me, a 3 double with horses in the next race. I mean, to me, the best betting race was the next race because it was a big field, and you know anything can kind of happen. We always talk about some of those races you want to kind of go deeper in. If the doubles are enticing, why not?
Well, speaking of doubles, I mean, we've done this every week, and there's no better week to do this now with this field being pretty short here. You've heard our opinions on these horses. Ashley, as you're looking at doubles, you want to kind of just touch on a few horses in the final race at Woodbine that you like?
Give me 1 second as I have to pull this up.
All right.
Sorry, the struggle is real.
It's all good. Do you want?
Okay, so I don't have a number. My horse, it's a price play that I can tell you the name is, I believe, Soup du Jour. Preston
6.
Pierce's
The 6 horse.
Yeah, the 6. This is probably my price play. He typically does ride Kevin Nichols on his horses. I'm actually friends with Preston. And Kevin's a great rider, does a lot of great work. But to me, I did see a rider change that was kind of enticing, Kazushi Kimura, because I believe he could have ridden other horses in this race and opted for this spot. He's getting off, I believe, the 2, if I remember, Don't Smile Lila. That's who he's kind of been racing before. And I just thought this horse will probably go off somewhere, hopefully around the morning line. Maybe it was around 6 to 1 or something like that. Decent enough value. So that's kind of the horse that stood out to me. I did think this was a weird race because Norm McKnight's horse, the 3, I have that pulled up in front of me. It's a big drop. This is a really big drop. And I understand the horse hasn't been showing anything. It's coming out of a turf race. The previous connections the Barney was in, I can see here as of last October when this horse raced, the barn was only winning at 12%. But let me talk about a horse that a trainer that does very well with their horses physically. I mean, his horses look like $1 million every single one. So that makes me kind of question the ability of this horse, just to kind of see that. Because obviously out of all the races, I mean, the debut was probably the best in terms of a finish and being close into it. And this horse is kind of just not really shown anything. So at 5-2 morning line, I don't like that horse at a short price in a race that I think is overall, it's kind of a head scratcher. I mean, it's $7,500 maiden. So, take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I want to go over those trips really quick because they're a little bit sneaky, and the fact that she is coming out of those higher level races, she's actually been running speed figures that are on par, even though they weren't competitive in those levels. So coming back off the layoff on 620, she was not asked at all. There was the rider firm hold, no push to this horse at all, and then she showed more speed. Coming back in just a week on the turf. And that was a very, very, very fast pace that she was on. So there's upside off both those trips. And I think the drop in class just kind of goes to the fact that's she's not at the other higher maiden level. Let's put her where she belongs. It's not the most concerning drop to me. I think you have those trips. I don't know what they picked her up for, but this just is, there's some drops that look really, if she had been, let me just double check this, but typically this barn, takes a lot of money. And in both those starts, she's close to 6-1 coming off the layoff, almost 11-1 last time out. So even the barn is kind of people knew to kind of stay away. So I think there's a little bit more upside in this spot, but definitely not one you'd have a whole lot of confidence in at a short price.
I think, Emily, you probably agree. This horse will either maybe win for fun or just not be there at all sort of situation.
I don't know about for fun, but she can compete.
Relatively speaking, yeah. You can win and you'll be okay, drop in class, right? Third time off the layoff, whatever, your case for it is. Or I think this horse might do the same thing that she did last time. I don't think they're going to go that fast, but I don't know. They're $7,500 maidens, and I think these races, they're really hard to handicap, especially this one.
Yeah, look, I didn't love the horse. I don't usually mess around with horses that take that big of a drop. But I think what Emily may have said there without saying is that this field might just be bad enough for her to win based on some of those past efforts. And so
I mean, your favorite, right, is going to be looking at the morning line and then looking at the Will-Pays is the 8, who's also taking a drop. And this is the horse that she's gets good trips and then just lacks finish. So she's certainly capable. And here, I think this was a horse that was actually, we talked about when she was on the show, and then her just being a little bit soft for that $15,000 maiden claiming level. So again, it's kind of the same thing where it's the drop doesn't concern me. It's this is sort of where she belonged the whole time. And that's sort of where I see the 3. Is it not so much being this horse can't run at all? She's just no good. It's just she's not where we've had her placed. And we need to put her where she belongs.
I'd be interested in hearing. So when I first looked, I just kind of took a glance at the PPs initially. I was Classy and Silent looks like the main speed here. Adds blinkers, dropping down. I mean, should be loose on the lead. But then I started watching replays of some of these other horses. Some of them have some early foot. What do you see in there on the plot? Is it looking like Classy and Silent might be loose, or is there going to be a lot of pitch?
I don't think she's loose, but she's definitely the quote unquote speed of the speed. I mean, she's the lone square in quadrant 1, but there's also the 2, the 3, the 6, and the 4, and then you have some lightly raced horses. And I mentioned the 3 being up there, that could show some speed as well. So there's some contention, but just in terms of speed figures in class, the race that she's coming out of, is probably going to be the speed of the speed. But there's others that'll keep her honest.
Yep. Yeah, that's the way I saw it. As I kept looking at it initially, I was oh, Classy and Silent might just run away with this. Typically, when you're dealing with these bottom level maidens, if you've got a loose speed horse, sometimes that's good enough, especially if the price is right. You may want to kind of take a shot there. Horse getting loose, and with a bunch of horses who don't like passing other horses. But then as I took a closer look, one horse that stood out to me was the 5 horse. Just Call Me Candy. Race 2 back at maiden $15,000 level. Isn't as bad as it looks on paper. She got jostled around a little bit early. Was pulled back off the pace by the rider. She was a little rank, kicked her head around. But she finished 5th there. The horses who finished in the top 3 ran 1, 2, 3 all the way around, and she wasn't, really asked for anything in the stretch. And so I thought, she was one who was interesting based on the fact that was her only, looking at that level at least. If we're gonna, now down at this level, but looking at that level was essentially right there. And I just thought that if things do heat up on the front end, I thought this was one with a better trip who potentially, is the one who's going to, tip out and maybe do some damage late, maybe, pick up a big piece. Maybe she could win. I don't know. What is she, 6-1 morning line, something like that?
Yeah, 6-1.
I think she's contender status and taking money in the doubles as well. She's kind of holding her own with kind of the 2, 3, and 8. So it definitely looks live in this spot.
So we're about 10 minutes away from our transitional phase of the night, where we bring in Robert Reed Jr. We start looking ahead to some of the Mohawk races, which is why it's good to get a head start here on the last race at Woodbine, so we don't shortchange you on that one. So shared a couple of thoughts there, the last at Woodbine, as we're approaching a couple of minutes here until the 7th at Woodbine. I'll let you know, I just put in a couple of bets on my account here. I'm just pulling them up. I actually, now you're all rubbing off on me here. I'm playing doubles. I'm playing the doubles now. And I did 2-3 here with 5, 6, 8 in the next race. And so a couple of horses that we talked about. So 2-3 here would be Boreal Spirit and Escaminzin, who I think are both, at the moment, if you're just playing this race straight up, I think those horses they both represent value to me. Those are my top 2 picks in this race. So I'm surprised to see them at 11-1 and 9-2. And in the next race, I'm 5, 6, 8, which is Just Call Me Candy, who I was just talking about a moment ago. Soup du Jour, who Ashley made the case for a little while ago. And then the potential loose speed in Classy and Silent, or potentially maybe not loose speed in Classy and Silent. So that's me, 2-3 with 5, 6, 8. What did you guys decide? Are you betting this race or not?
I'm in the
I'll still go with. Sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead. I'm in the process of punching a ticket. So
Okay, mine's easy. I'm win bet on the 2, and I just feel like that horse either wins or runs out, and there's really kind of nowhere else to kind of land on. So let's get this 2 home.
We got a couple of viewers who are just sharing some bets. I'm going to put those on the bottom of the screen. Ashley, go ahead. What are you betting?
I'm playing a double with the 3. I'm going to use the 5, 6, the 8, and trying to pick another horse. I'm kind of torn because you're looking for a price, but I don't want to throw it away. I might use the 2, and then I think I'm going to play actually in here. I'm going to look at the probables right now. Let's see.
Don't let me completely get you off where you were headed there, but the 1 and the 10 to me seem like, if you want to just throw an absolute couple of ridiculous horses on your ticket,
I'd pick the 1 over the 10.
Yeah, the 1 had basically, went to her knees out of the gate last out and was pulled up. So I think that's the one to throw in. The 10.
She did the same thing on debut.
Yeah, so you may get you may get a repeat.
And at the rail. So
so you may get a repeat here. Hope Garden, the 10 horse. I don't know what if I'm just kind of imagining things. I watched her replays. Look, this is the 13th time maiden, lost by 22, 11, and 10. I don't know. This field is really bad in the last race. And I've convinced myself through watching replays that maybe, just maybe, if the pace is hot and the race completely falls apart, that Hope Garden moves late. So I don't know. If you're going to spread in the double, I certainly wouldn't go all but Hope Garden. That's my take.
My note next to Hope Garden.
Yeah.
You're going to go with the 1?
I'd go, if I had to pick between the 1 and the 10, and you're like, I don't know, this is a decision, I'd probably pick the 1.
Was your note hopeless?
I was going to say I have
close. It was Hope and Prayers Garden.
But I will say Nikki Ellis is into a 5-pound bug now. She's been riding really well. Nikki's been riding really well, and she's on the 10 Hope Garden.
Yeah, let's look. Hope Garden again. Now, if you're gonna go, it
was like Hope and Prayers Garden to get a trip, because from the 10 post with her running style, it's like if they use, they're gonna get caught wide. She's not fast enough as the other horses.
They're not
right?
using
so
anything.
They're
just
so there's.
sit.
But they could some of her more competitive races. They've tried, right? So, and then if they take back, then they're in that closer position. So it was just in terms of trip. But yeah, I mean, if somebody's spreading, if she somehow gets a trip, her speed figures aren't far off. All right, they're off, by the way.
You want to give us the play-by-play here?
Yeah, the 1 and 2, we've got them dueling up front. The 3 is sitting a pocket trip right now, uncovered with the 6. The 5, assuming that position in the back, kind of that closer position. A relatively moderate pace, but there's pressure up front, so that changes things. So we still have 1 on the inside, the 2 pressing, 3 sitting in the pocket, 5, a lot of real estate behind that pair, kind of unchanged into the turn. Looks like the 6 has some horse, same with the 3, just kind of looking for a little bit of room. 1 starting to take the lead, coming off the turn. 2 is done. 3 and the 6 are trying to come on, but the 1 still looks like she is holding, getting tired. The 3 is grinding, gonna be close.
Come on, 3.
3's getting by.
Come on.
3, 3, 1, 6. Nice job, guys. Excellent job.
Hey, that was it. Oh, bet down to 3-1 late. Wow. So the late money did come in for that horse, but still 3-1, not bad at all. I mean, not bad. You had to figure that the rail was going to be taking pressure. I mean, you knew Boreal Spirit was going. So good stuff. Nice shot. Ashley doesn't need no stinking cell phone.
No. It's
You're
interesting,
good.
this horse, Escamindon, like I remember, I think the horse is 5 or 6 now. I don't have my PPs open. Well, they kind of like had this horse, obviously, you know, you're in Canada, you have a horse, you want to try to put him on the Triple Crown Trail, and they tried to do that with him. I don't think he made it to the Queen's Plate. Racing the Prince of Wales, he was 4th behind the filly, Wonder Godot, Wonder Godot, however you want to say it. I still say Godot years later. And then they put the horse in the Breeder Stakes, finished 4th, and I think it was a pretty big field that year. And I mean, he's just a much better turf horse than anything.
Yeah, I think distance as well. I think them also trying to figure out that he's kind of maxed at a mile and cutting him out of those longer races. But again, I mean, that was the ideal trip. I mean, the inside has been good for weeks and weeks. It's crazy that hasn't changed. But being able to kind of save ground again, the 1 kind of regressing a little bit, lacking finish late, and just kind of getting the trip there. But yeah, good job, good race assessment. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's weird because it's like you want to, from a trip perspective, like start to upgrade these outside runners, but it's been so tough lately, just the way the track profile's been over this course.
We are, let's see. Yeah, we still got plenty of time here. Let's do this. Sean Patrick Nolan giving us. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Work with what we got.
And Gio Ponte, if I remember correctly, was just on fire last week, and then had that pick 5 going at Woodbine. I think mostly chalked out, but it was a great ticket. Had a couple of singles, and then was all in the last few legs. So, hey, Gio Ponte, let us know what you're doing at Mohawk coming up. We'll have Robert Reed Jr. To also give us some perspective. Him and Ashley will be digging into some of the races at Mohawk here coming up. Let's do this. Since when Robert comes on, we're going to be all standard bred, essentially. Emily, you've kind of gone through a good chunk of the field in the last. You want to kind of fill out some of the gaps there and let us know how you might bet this race?
Yeah, it's another tough one. I mean, I think that the 5 and the 6 kind of seem to be the quote unquote value, but looking at the doubles, I don't know how much further they're going to be from the 3 and the 8, and even the 2. We talked about the 1. That was my concern with her, just in terms of being a 4-year-old. She's had those 2 bad starts. That could be a pattern, and now you've got the rail. It's like there could be upside there, but it's hard to see that. But again, you could make excuses in those cases. With the number 2, I mean, with her, it's like what you see is what you get. She's going to show speed. She's on the inside, so she'll have that inside speed. Again, another one that just doesn't have that much finish. She's been at this level twice. No real excuse in terms of trip. Cutting back in distance just ever so slightly, that might help her a little bit. Not overly exciting to me. Again, 8-speed, I made the case for her. I think she's probably properly placed at this level and can move up to compete. Nordic Pearl, another one I've just, it's hard to get excited about her. She's just pretty common, runs the same race each time, just hasn't been competitive at this level, and really no excuses in those cases. I agree. I think the 5 making her first start at this level, I think that's sometimes an edge because you've had these horses that just haven't won at this level and not had an excuse. She's kind of the new face here. Soup du Jour seems to have a little bit of upside, had trouble back on June 25th. And then showed speed last time out. So I think maybe, cutting back a little bit in distance, they're going to go for a stock and pounds trip that could work out here. The 7 is just below. The 8, again, her last 2 speed figures top this field. So if she runs back to those numbers, she's going to be the horse to beat. Just sometimes you have like horses, she's got a no finish in both of her last 2 races. And sometimes it just doesn't matter like what level of competition and how fast these horses are. If they have the habit and the tendency of lacking a finish, they just do that every time. So that has to be something that she's going to have to prove at this level. But again, a good spot, fits on speed figures all around. Kind of tough to knock. Real Chopper had some trouble in traffic last time out. Kind of had some trouble at the top of the lane. The top 2 finishers were kind of well clearing together. So a little bit of upside for her, but she has to improve. I mean, speed figures are a little bit below. And then Hope Garden, again, she's got a couple races in there. You kind of have to go back to early 2019 for those races. You've got the recent layoff lines, which aren't that exciting. But again, it just comes down to trip. When you're in the outside post, if they drop back and try to make a late run, you're going to need a lot of luck, right? You're going to need a lot of horses slowing down, not hitting traffic with a horse that, has some finish, but obviously quality, she is where she is. So, 31-1 currently. I'm looking at the board right now. Not going to knock her too hard. The favorite is currently, there you go. The 8 being the favorite, that seems to make sense on the drop. 5 taking money, again, also another dropper. And then the 2 and the 3. So I think it's kind of pretty straightforward for that perspective.
Yep. Ashley, any thoughts here on Woodbine, the final race? We'll come back to with a few minutes to post before we bring Robert in. Any thoughts here on how you might bet this race straight up? I know you're now cruising into this last year with some potential double chances here. So what are your thoughts if you're going to bet this race straight up?
This is such a tough race for me. Like from an exotic standpoint, this is a great race because I do think if you have, you can hit the trifecta. I do think there's going to be a long shot somewhere. I mean, I struggle when I go through the past performances because Emily points it out, like the 8, right, really doesn't have finish. So many runners in here don't, and it becomes a point where, we talked about it. Some of these horses are taking a drop in class, especially like the 3, even the 5 is dropping this level for the first time. But this is a head scratcher because someone has to win and someone has to be second, someone has to be third, and at this level, no one's really shown too much of anything. They've shown they can maybe get a piece here, but it's not like I have any horses that are coming out of like really close finishes. I mean, looking at the horses that I like, from a number standpoint, the 6 Soup du Jour, she's gonna have to step up, but I thought the effort 2 back, 5 furlongs, 3rd, beaten by length and a half was okay. It wasn't like this horse really hung in the stretch, but last time out didn't have a late kick. Now I think the strategy was a little different last time out, was more forwardly placed early on and closer to the pace, and maybe that's why she really didn't stick around, but they also didn't go so fast. They went 23-1 and 47. A lot of the halves have been faster. At least they've been sub 47. So I'm not sure what to make out of her. I thought she'd be a price, and right now she's 11-1. I like that.
Yeah.
When you started bringing up Dan, we're going to mention another horse, and you mentioned the 5. That's probably who I would go to next, and I'm not surprised to see this one currently at 7-2. I looked at some others in here, just maybe in the try. Let me scroll down for a second. The 9 was 3rd last time out, but was well beaten, and this one's taking not much play, but isn't floated up from the morning line. Really, was 10-1, is at 9-1. Kind of looking at the win, Shitara won that race, was second in the previous time that they met. maybe I could use this horse for third, but it's a head scratcher for me to, I don't feel like in a spot like this, if I'm going to play a try, there's no one I can single on top. That's for sure. I have no confidence in anyone. That's the best way to put it.
Well, that's why these races are fun.
This horse racing.
No, that's why these races in particular are fun. Like, I love these, like, really, really, I'm just bottom level maiden races and bottom level claiming races. This is where you find prices sometimes. And I think, like, at least in terms of my own, like, what I perceive as my skill set, which is watching replays, this is where kind of trips and all that kind of stuff factors in. If I can make a case based on something I'm seeing visually, maybe I could make an argument, at least in my mind, that, hey, this horse stands to improve if things go better today. Because the one thing we know with a lot of these horses, whether they're sort of these repeat maidens or bottom level claimers, is that they don't generally recover from adversity well. If they encounter adversity during a race, they tend to just, throw in the towel. And so basically you need a lot of luck, and you need, I think, to have an eye to figure out which horse might potentially take a step forward if everything goes well. We had a couple.
One thing to add real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So because my computer crashed, I'm using like the web-based version of the DRF. Everyone that knows me knows, like, I'm a huge DRF fan. That's the product I go to. But they give you the time for US, like the pace numbers early and late. And besides the 5 and the 9, and I don't really look at this, but this proves the point that no one has finish. I mean, everyone has, a decent early pace number relative, and then you see their late pace number. No one has a strong number besides the 5 and the 9 relative to their early. I mean, no one really wants to, stick around at the end.
Yep. Just want to point out how great this little community is here that we're building here. So Franklin Flam asked a couple of questions. He said, what did the try pay? Race 7 at Woodbine. He asked, what did the 1 pay to place and show? He had a couple of questions here. Now, I was going to look it up. I was trying to find him the answers. But before you know it, Chris chimes in with the response. Dollar trifecta pays $14.10. And then he gave him the place and show money. So thank you, Chris. Thank you. This is what it's all about. We're a family here. We respond to one another. This is great stuff. So thank you, Chris, for looking that up. Keep letting us know where you're betting. Keep engaging. Keep asking us questions. This is a lot of fun. All right. The guy we're bringing in right now, he's made some incredible picks. I've gone down with some heartbreak over the past few weeks. Basically, I can't bet them in the right way, but you and Ashley are my lifelines here to harness racing. Robert Reed Jr., author of the Horse Players Journal, the Woodbine program, with us every week now, giving us insight into the races at Mohawk. Robert, how are you doing?
Doing well. Still in the midst of moving somehow. A week later. It's been an up and down week, and I said to Ashley last night that this card tonight is one that either we're going to make a ton on or I'm going to leave with the elephant ears. One of the two. There's no in between.
I like that. Feast or famine.
Yeah, it's feast or famine tonight. There's a few horses that I do love, but it's not an easy card by any stretch of the imagination.
Actually, I think because of the iPad setup, I don't know if, like, there you go.
There you go.
I just want you to know.
Extreme close up.
I don't know if you want to be that close up, but I mean, it's all good.
I just went to the dentist. I'm good.
All right. What we're going to do here, since, again, Robert knows how to tease these things, because every week he says something, I'm like, oh my God. Tell me you've got a long shot. Tell me you got some singles coming up. It sounds like he's got something up his sleeve. So let me go ahead and pull in the Mohawk feed here. We've got 3 races that we're going to watch live. And if you've been following us the past few weeks, you know that we don't just leave you there at the end of the show with nothing, for the rest of the card. Robert and Ashley will also chime in and kind of give you some of their perspective. And then also, if they've got picks for later on in the card, they're going to give you late pick 4, late pick 5. But let's start with what we have here. First race at Mohawk. Robert, what do you got for us?
Well, we start off with in recent weeks we've had the 2-year-olds, right, and we've had 2-year-old trotters, and those races have a degree of difficulty because you don't really know what you're going to get at a lot of the young horses. But this time we have for the circuit lower level claimers. So it's a claiming handicap, 10,000 to 12,000. So when you talk about consistency, this is really a class where sometimes you don't really see it. And it can produce some prices. So very interesting way to start off the card. Most of the horses are in for the lower version of the tag, $10,000. There's 2 of them that got put in for 11. Of course, if you get put in for 12, you know that you're drawing the outside. And again, it's an extremely contentious race. It's a very difficult way to start off the early pick 5. And I'm interested to hear what Ashley's got to say, because the first one for me was quite a puzzle.
Okay. Well, look, I like that better than what we've had in the past few weeks, which has been 7-horse, 8-horse field, and like no excitement. This horse is going to win at 3 to 5. I'll take a puzzle to a 3 to 5 top choice any day of the week. Ashley, what do you think?
Looking at this race, I think it's really tough. I did think probably the 4 is the best horse on paper, especially off that last performance was much better than the other ones. I mean, yes, this horse had good performances, but the back panel was really fast, 27 and 4. Other ones that I kind of look to though, I know this horse is going to have to dramatically step up, but underneath I would use the 2, Empty the Till. And then from there, I really don't know. I'm not surprised the 9 EL Wild Spirits 4 to 1 currently. I just think I have concerns with a horse like this with an outside post, and I'm sure Robert probably agrees. This horse towards the inside would be really live, but looking at this horse before, out of either the 8 post, or I know the 10's a little different, but even out of the 10 post, just having anything bad, it's never really panned out for him. Like, look down the past performances, it doesn't work. So to me now, 7 to 2, that's too short on this horse. I mean, I'm not saying you can't overcome it, but I have my doubts. I don't know. I'm always price shopping. So if I'm price shopping in here, I would maybe look to someone like the 7 for third only. This is a very interesting horse because you look at the races at Northfield, it's very different level, and trying to map this horse now coming to Woodbine Mohawk Park for the first time. But I don't think this horse can win. Now, this horse was 6 to 1 morning line is now 9 to 1, which has actually dropped down. Last time I looked, it was 11 to 1. I could use this for third, but to me, the 2 and the 4 were the standouts. And I will say, I did not read the Horse Player's Journal. So anything that Robert says tonight, I didn't even get I got a different form. I got the Trackmaster. So I'm like excited to
my
hear
heart breaks.
So I don't have to read it. I can hear
it. Exactly. This is a live Horse Player's Journal.
I couldn't agree more with the 9. He's 4 to 1, but he has 0 gate speed. And John Campbell once said, great things happen if you leave. This horse just doesn't have it. He doesn't have early pop off the gate, and I don't see how he's going to really get into the race again. Like every week, he's that blur in the stretch to finish 4th or 3rd. I don't see it happening today with him. I landed on similar horses. I really like the 2. Last week was a complete reversal in form, and he won first over in a pretty difficult trip, a 31 to 1. Now, sometimes those are a bit of an anomaly, and you say, well, maybe the horse just circumstance or just came up with a huge effort that day, but I was really impressed by it. So I put the 2 on top. I used the 4 Outlaw Gunpowder. He's an old war horse. He's got 49 career wins. So he's sitting on right now, hitting that milestone of 50, which would be very impressive. The horse who's inside, My Brother George, has 52 career wins. So it just shows you these horses have been through the wars over their careers. So I landed on 2, 4. The 1 horse is one that's interesting to me because I loved him last time. He was locked on a line, made a break in the stretch, and I really liked the trainer change last time, even the driver change. Got hurt pretty bad with this horse last time, and I certainly wouldn't want to exclude him, especially at 6 to 1, because if they've remedied those issues, he could be a real strong force in here. So I went with 2, 4, 1, and then the 9 just on the back end of it because he probably can get into the race late, but I really don't see much else in here. But again, the inconsistency of these horses, sometimes one can jump up and bite you.
Now, the 1 horse, Gio Ponte, is with you. Wanted to put this up because if you're with us last week, remember Gio Ponte was red hot, but excluding the 2 horse that you like, and also that horse on the outside that we've talked about a couple of times. A recurring theme on this show has been how the 9 post is just, don't want to be there. Just you can't do it. It's a huge strike against. That's something that I've learned while playing Mohawk, listening to Robert and Ashley over the past few weeks. And so for that reason, I would assume Gio Ponte leaving the 9 off the ticket. And there you see the rest of it closing out pretty short on the last 2 legs, singling the 10, it looks like, in the 4th leg, and then closing up with 2-7. Also want to say hi to our friend checking in from Venezuela, which is pretty cool. We have some people joining us from Brazil. So hello. Other people betting here. 3459 exacta box. So let us know what else you're playing out there. Wishing you luck, obviously, as they're getting closer here to the start, the first at Woodbine Mohawk. Gio Ponte letting us know the lack of speed there, which I think we touched on a little bit, right, would be a concern, especially if you're drawn 9. So while we've got a couple of seconds left here, because I know I haven't gotten the text yet from my dad, but I know he's ready to punch in the ticket. What would the ticket be here? Robert, I know you said you like the 2, you like the 4. What would the ticket be if you had to do, let's say, a $12 ticket?
I'd probably, play the 2 on top, or you know what, just in case, because Outlaw Gunpowder can get hot, and I mean, he did get a perfect trip last time, so I'm a little bit leery, especially at 5-2. I'd probably put the 2 and 4 on top with the 1, 2, 4 in behind, and then I would probably stretch out to like 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 9, and then for 20 cents, you could probably still press the all button for 4th. I like doing that myself, especially in a super for 20 cents. I just think that it really, to me, it comes down to those 3 horses, the 1, 2, and 4, and probably lean to the 2 and 4. The 5's a sneaky horse that at 38-1, longest shot on the board. I might look to hit the ticket somewhere. He's a horse I've always liked, and he's been racing okay. But again, 0 for 13 this year. That's nothing to get too excited about. But to hit the ticket, I mean, he's certainly one that might be able to get there.
All right, Ashley, you punch in a ticket, or are you sitting this one out?
If I were to play it, I'd play a little differently. I'd play 2-4 with the 1, 2, 4, 9, and then I'd use prices behind, and I would just use the 5 and the 7 in the 3rd spot, and hopefully get a price.
Okay. All right, but it sounds like 2-4 are pretty much the anchors here. Those are going to be the horses that are going to anchor this ticket. So if you've played, good luck. We'll leave that ticket up for just another half second, then we'll show you Robert's beautiful smile here in a moment. We'll take that down so you can see him. There we go. All right.
And here we go.
Who's doing race call here? Do we know?
The one has jumped it off again. So just like that, all your hopes and dreams have gone down the drain with the 1 horse. So interestingly enough, Drew Neal on the 5, the horse we just talked about, longest shot on the board, has gone to the top. Grits and Gravy, at 33-1, leaving out really nicely to the outside, the 7. Who is the 7? That's the one from Northfield, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He, I'm just going to pull my program on this side. Tico Time, challenging for the lead now. And oddly enough, we just talked about a horse with no gate speed that can't get to the lead. And there he is.
Yeah.
So it's like they somehow trained him in last week to lead, because this horse has not left a stitch in any of his previous efforts. So
they're watching the show. They're like, oh yeah, no speed.
Exactly. And I mean, if anyone's going to put a horse on top, it's Louis Philippe Bois. So I guess that I shouldn't be too surprised by that.
You said that before too. That's your thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is a speed driver. He can get any horse to lead, but I was not expecting this at all. So Outlaw Gunpowder he stayed inside in the 4-hole, and Darcy's first over right now, and the 2 horse that I have on top is second up. But right now, it really the 9's looking decent on the front end right now, and he's never been there before. So we'll see if he actually knows what to do and how to close it out. Trevor Henry's sending the 2 wide now, but it's still a long way out of it. These horses got a long way to go to catch this guy. Tico Time, the horse from Northfield, popped out of the 2-hole. Looks pretty strong right now. He might come forward. The 2's starting to come forward now, but I don't know if they're going to be able to catch this one.
Wow. Move on the rail there by the 4, but doesn't look like
Or
right?
he's going to run on a racetrack though.
The 2 and the 4 are closing.
And the
Ooh,
9,
the 2.
the 2 he didn't get there,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So it looks like it runs 9-2, and it was the 6 on the outside as well. Listen, I said it was a head scratcher, right? I said it was a difficult way to start the card, and I would I used the horse for 4th, thinking that he would be closing out of it. If someone told me, hey, we're going to try to send this horse to the top tonight, I might have thought they were crazy, but I probably would have bumped up a little bit higher, to be honest.
Well, is that just like, you see it and there's an inquiry? I don't know what this.
Probably on the 1 being a potential refund behind the gate.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. If you use the 1, that would be a good outcome.
I think he made the fair start pool. So in harness racing, there's a fair start pool. Mm-hmm. And if you don't make the fair start pool, or he could have broken equipment before the start. Mm-hmm. Either way, if you don't receive a fair start or you have broken equipment before the start, your horse is refunded.
Right. This is a nice run by the horse from Northfield. I think Ashley mentioned that horse before the race too. I was there the whole time. I mean, 13-1. Looks like the horse might have finished 4th when it was all said and done. Looks like we had just a couple of people on the 9 using the 9 and the exacta. But yeah, I mean, like I think when I looked at that race, and you mentioned, that the horse didn't have as much speed, it's one of those situations where it seemed like there was chaos from even before the race started, and so I didn't see what the splits were, but maybe it was one of those situations where just because of all the chaos that had happened in behind, the horse had the opportunity to cross over. But it's probably more of what you alluded to with the driver being just generally an aggressive rider and being able to get the horse over.
Yeah, I just looked back on his further back lines, and back in January, he found the front from the 7 hole, but everything in between then and now is right back to last pretty much every single race. So maybe once every 6 or 7 months, this horse has it in him to go to the front, I guess.
All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this off the screen because we're getting closer here to the finale at Woodbine.
What happened?
Oh, hey, new guest.
Yes.
Who are we looking at?
Frost is making an appearance, or his racetrack name, Flying Harvick.
Nice. What is the what's the story there? The background there.
With him?
Yeah.
He would still be a maiden. I don't know. He only raced like 9 times. They got him when he was about 2 years old. One of his toes is like a little. It may look like it broke and healed, so I don't know if that was the reason that he retired. But yeah, I've watched his replays. He's a closer, so he just needed a little bit more ground in each start. There's a couple 4ths. It's pretty cute.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've never I haven't been around the scene, but I've heard like so many great stories of people who have taken in former runners or greyhounds or.
They're great dogs. So I foster them from time to time when they come in off the track. So I've had a few that just come in and stay for a couple months. They're just really awesome, fun dogs.
Do they I know this conversation comes up a lot with like thoroughbreds and like the assumption that they're going to be crazy and wild and all that. I mean, do they settle in pretty well once you've got them home?
Yeah, it's like anything, and I'm sure dogs, people, whatever. They all have their own personality. I mean, he adjusted really quick. I had a puppy earlier this year who was unraced, and he was a puppy. He's like a year and a half old, and just kind of a puppy, but figured out these are the rules, and they're very routine and they're very smart. So once they kind of have that routine, they stay established. The other girl I had, she was really quiet. She just wanted to be kind of like left alone all the time, which is fine. That's her personality. So yeah, but they're just really, really good dogs. I mean, I live in an apartment and it's fine. He doesn't bark. Yeah, it's very easy.
Well, you put Gio Ponte at ease, who initially thought that was a goat that you were living with. So
I can have a dark side, but I'm not going to go that dark. Have a pet goat.
So good. All right, we got a minute to the finale here at Woodbine. Ashley, remind us who you're alive to with the double here. We're both alive, I believe.
I'm alive.
Emily, you've got anything running right now? I don't want to.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to root for you guys again. I just can't. I don't know. I'm going to blame the dentist. I can't really find anything to latch onto here, so I'm rooting. It looks like 856. I think that's what you guys are on.
I'm 568. How about you, Ashley?
I have 5 horses. I'm only going to give away 4 of them because one of them is like really wonky and I don't need to get flack from it. But the
You used the 10.
No.
Did you use the 1?
No,
Did you use the 1?
You can't guess the whole field.
Well, I mean, I don't want to like burst your bubble or anything, but this is sort of like the name of the show. Like, as you're the host, you
gotta reveal it.
You know, I don't want to.
So I was punching a ticket, okay, and I will say there's a horse in here that has like 1 good race. Everything, and I say good relative, like finger quotes, okay. Everything else has been a clunker. I just don't know.
Spit it out. Give it to us.
Okay, I used the 3, 5, 6, and 8, and I just tossed a horse in it. So it's only an extra $2, right? For a $2 double, it's only an extra $2. I didn't like anyone else. I used the 4, who has either a -0 buyer or 31, but had 1 decent effort with Corey Jordan. I really don't know what's going to happen on the front end whatsoever. But if I'm going to play this, I'm going to go for a price. So that's where I went.
No, that's good. I mean, that horse seems like. I mean,
to
it's
me,
like
if I'm going for an actual price and like telling someone I like a price horse, it's going to be the 5 and the 6.
Okay.
So when the hardest race was going on, I was watching the horses. I know we had talked about the 1. She broke off in a warm up and just like made a really good physical impression, which I made a note of because I don't want to get like tricked twice. You know, if she's one of those horses that just looks good each time. But I don't know, something to know. Maybe, you know, I know we talked about her not being able to get out of the gate, but they did a warm up and maybe that's, you know, this is her day. But looked really good on the track.
I mean, yeah, at that price, I mean, you know, look, I don't love 8 to 5 on, you know, if you're betting this race. I mean, Classy and Silent at 8 to 5 seems like, you know, quite the concession. You know, I mean, that's a tough price to take on that one. The 3 at 2 to 1 also. I mean, look, I think we talked about it before the last race in terms of what you're getting there. You're getting a horse who is taking a significant drop and might just be good enough despite any issues she might have or anything else to still beat this field. I mean, if you're going to roll the dice that way, why not roll the dice with, you know, a horse like the
Dan,
1
did you play any exotics?
I didn't. I'm waiting. I'm gonna watch this. I mean, I've been aggressive the past few weeks and it's blown up in my face, so I'm just gonna sit back and watch this. Hope we get something.
Hopefully
Robert, we again did not ask your opinion.
Okay. I like the 8-9. I like
okay,
8-9.
Okay, good. We gave you the benefit of like the first the jump, like the gate opening.
It's okay. I gave an honest one. I thought the 8 would be lone speed. There's horses inside of. I like 8-9 here.
Okay. Yeah, look, the couple of horses inside from the 2-3 showing a little bit of pace. I mean, I don't love the way 8 speed looks at this moment. I think the horse is.
Remember, she's a no finish. She's always a no finish. So we shall see. This is it.
The 6 is actually moving from like that 3rd pack. I think that's.
I don't see the 6. Where's the 6? Oh yeah, and
on the outside.
Right. I look. Best case scenario at this moment would be if Just Call Me Candy just happened to get up. Yeah, look, 8 speed looks about done.
Look at this one. Look at this one on the outside.
It's gonna be a big move.
That was the tip, man. She looked good on the track.
Yeah, look at it. I mean,
today was the day.
At least 4th, maybe 3rd. Let's see.
I don't know, somewhere in there, but just, you know, little upside today.
All right. Well, we were on it. I mean, we were on the obvious horses there. 8-5. The 6 didn't fire as we hoped. But
well, the 6 actually caught the move, made that kind of outside tracking move, which had a little bit of run. Yeah.
All right. Well, a little bit short there. Let me see what the double paid so we know what we're getting back here. Not as exciting as your hit a couple of weeks back, but it'll be something. All right. So the $2 doubles are paying. Not terrible. I mean, $31. Look, we beat the favorite the last race. 31's a bit short, but not bad. I have it for $6. Be excited about that? Yay, $6. So that's not bad. But yeah, look, once that horse got loose, like we said, I mean, these aren't the types of horses that are going to generally pass horses. So
look at the 5 and the 6; they get bumped around at the start. If you guys want to, and the 7.
Oh, the 4 came out into the 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
That would have been something.
Oh
that
shit!
4
And the 8.
There we go. There we go. We met the quota.
I didn't even know that time. I was like already.
It's bad that Ashley and
clip is
Robert are
gonna
not
be
even
out
reacting
tomorrow,
to it
right?
anymore. Now you're just
I
cursing.
didn't even react. No, last time I caught myself, and you had to bring it to my attention.
But I feel like when you talk about, you either swear there's like the talk about like illegal betting or vice versa. So I had a feeling once we talked about like the sports betting early on that this might happen.
What's worse? Exactly.
I'm a bad kid. What can I say?
All right, Emily. Before we move back to the harness racing, and we know we'll let you heal up. You've had a long day today as well. Any parting thoughts here?
No, I don't think so. This is fun. Glad you guys got a little hit in that last race, and just keep it going in the harness.
All right. Well, we'll see you back here exactly a week from now, 6 o'clock, same time, same place. Woodbine Live. If you're watching from home, you could also watch Racing Night Live in Canada on TSN. You could also watch Racing Night Live in the US on ABR's YouTube channel. Emily, thank you again.
Yeah, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching and putting in your tickets, chiming in. It's awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Emily. All right, we'll see you, Emily, next week. Ashley, Robert, from here, you know how it goes. You guys, you bring us home from here, basically. So the one thing I do have to do, since I'm manning the controls here, is figure out a way to switch off this screen. But I'm savoring this victory a little bit. It's been a couple of weeks between drinks for me here, so I'm savoring the victory. And look, Ashley, high five. We both cash. Good sign. Hopefully,
And
good
the one
sign.
finished better than the 10. High 5.
Look, why did you have to bring that up? Everything was going so well. Look, the 10 finished 5th, but at 77-1. I'll take that.
Okay. Just saying, the one finished better than the 10.
If you were playing the Super High Five and watching the show, I'll send you my PayPal or Venmo if you want to send me a tip. Because really, you were never using that 10 unless I mentioned the 10. So anyway, look, I'm proud of that call. He might have been 40 lengths behind. I didn't even see where he actually finished, but
it was a finish between the 10, the 4, and the 6. They were all kind of together across the wire.
All right. Well, look, high five. We both cashed a ticket, which is awesome. And now we're hopefully going to cash a few more tickets over at Mohawk. So we've got a couple of minutes here as we transition. Go back into the screen. Open that one. And we should have it. All right. Set the stage for us, Robert.
Well, you can see it right there. All 8s on the board, and the horse is 1 to 9. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. This horse looks like he might be a very special trotter. So we're going right back now to those 2-year-old trotters. So they gave us, some claimers to start off, some aged claimers to start us off, and now we're back to the 2-year-old trotters. Colts and Geldings OSS Gold race, $108,000 purse, and the talk of the tote board and really the talk of the race and the division really right now needs to be number 8. Now Ken calls him Macho Martini, but I'm a Macho Man fan, so he's Macho Martini to me. He looks like he is alone in here. Now the one thing about this horse is kind of interesting. When you watch him, he did make a break in stride in his second qualifier. And when you do watch him, he does throw his head from time to time. He settles in and then he just dominates. But, I did have a friend tell me today, that, might want to play a backup ticket just in case when he does kind of get into those antics, in case he rolls into a break. I mean, that could be curtains for him. And at 1 to 9, why not have a backup where you are trying to get him beat? Because at the end of the day, for you to get a multi-leg wager to pay anything, you're going to have to get this one beat. Now, I put him on top because I really do believe this horse is a special animal. But there is, some potential value in behind him. I really like number 3, Mystic. I thought that his lifetime debut was very impressive. He split horses late, didn't get room until late, had lots of trot. And Christophe Roux has really had a fantastic season so far, especially with these younger horses. The 2 horses, Royal Tyrone, if you remember the night we had that 3 single pick 4, he was a part of it. And he held on late. Really, really game effort from this horse. Now, what I don't like about him is to stay tight. They brought him back and they qualified him without having to, and he made a break in stride. So hopefully he's not starting some bad habits there. The other horse I landed on the ticket is number 5, Rookie Season. Finished second last time in an OSS Gold race to a much better horse, and really did nothing wrong. I was actually trying to get him off the ticket that day, but he impressed me enough that he's on there today. If you're looking for a bomb, I would land on the 7 because the horse's name is Greg, just Greg, which is kind of cool. But he qualified really nicely in his last qualifier, which is now about a month ago. Finished third in his lifetime. Finished third in his first experience in the gold races with a pretty solid effort. Last time, an underwhelming effort at Georgian Downs with an outside post, though, and today gets Steve Byron. So a driver that's more experienced than Matthew Bax, who drove him last time. So he's one that I'm looking for a price. My wife's trying to sneak behind me. I told her she could come on and be,
you want me to remove you from the screen?
Yeah, she's trying to sneak behind here. It's pretty funny.
We could hide your screen for a moment.
Yeah, I know. I could have done that. Now she's embarrassed. Sorry. You can just walk by. You can.
Yeah, walk by. Hey, look, we're drinking White Claw. It's live.
Yeah, you can say hi. So this is Megan. She brought home a good luck charm too.
Hey, Megan.
It's kind of confusing. Hey, there we go. That way.
There it is.
Sorry.
Yeah. No.
What's the good luck charm?
You're good. The good luck charm she brought home. Can I see it real quick? So she loves the child, aka Baby Yoda. So she just brought this guy home.
Are you gonna rub the head? Hope we get a little.
Yeah, we'll rub the head and hope for something. But yeah, she literally buys everything she can find with the child. So she can't talk to me anymore about being a hoarder and being a collector because she's doing it herself. But anyways, that's where I am. If you're looking for a bomb, I like the 7. I hate giving out a 1 to 5 shot, guys. But this is a horse that I singled on all of my pick 5s. And I think that we might just be trying to beat a horse for the sake of beating a horse. If we go against this. Sorry, Ashley, what do you think?
I can't even make this up. I want to cuss you out right now because you stole my thunder in progression. That's the way I see this race personally. Like the 8, then I like Mystic, and then my price was Rookie Season. Rookie Season I think is the best value on the tote board by far right now. The only thing I'll add, that you basically hit all the high points. The only thing I do want to point out is when you're looking at Mystic and you're looking at Royal Tyrone and looking at that last Ontario Cider Stakes Gold race, to me the trip went better for Royal Tyrone, and that's why he ended up the winner. I think the better race, the better effort comes from Mystic, who was further back early on, not drastically further back. But you're talking about a horse that the 2 was more in the race early on. Mystic sat off and had a back panel in 27 and 4, which kind of looking at the field, for the most part, no one's really close to that. I think the 1 had 27 and 3 once, which is a very different setup. So to me, that stuck out. The reason I like Rookie Season, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Tokyo Steelster was heavily favored there, or
yes,
looks
he was.
The class right there, right?
Yep.
So kind of looking at this horse in that effort, you're second to the best horse on paper. So I think this is a little different setup. Once again, though, has a really tough horse in here with the 8. So I don't know. I really hate 1 to 5, and you try to knock this horse, and last time his first,
see what he's doing right now. Sorry, see what he was doing right there on the screen. Sorry, he was just throwing his head like I had alluded to, right? So that's a concern for me with the 8. Sorry, Ashley.
Well, and you kind of look at his qualifiers. They're nothing great. And in his second qualifier, he was rolling home late, but the winner of the qualifier was 13 clear. And I know it's a qualifier. I know you're not asking him to go full bore. Then he gets his first race is at the gold level. He gets the 8 post. It's fine. It's like a walk in the park for him. And then last time out, he gets an inside. inside post, and then he wins by over 5 in the end. So now he's going back to the outside. You know, we've seen this a lot. I don't want to like point this out, but with trotters, like, what is the one thing we've kind of seen in these races? I mean, the favorites, like, if they act up behind the gate, and now you got a horse that Robert pointed out, kind of acting a little funky in the warm up. You know, he's the best horse on paper, but it's so unpredictable. I mean, he's got 2 real races under his belt, and now he's kind of acting up. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's 8, and then I think it's the 3, and then my price is the 5. So that's about it.
Well, this is what I do. I listen, and then I bet. So I've got a bet in based on some of the intel that we just picked up there. Want to also point out some of the other bets everyone's making on here. We've got Hoopo Jr. with the 2 at 8-1. Question here: what do you think of Defcon, who made a middle move and seemed to be running green?
Yeah, no, I like that horse last time. Defcon Seal Street gets the trailing post today. Not my favorite spot for young trotter to be. Really good in his most recent qualifier. Hasn't raced since the last Gold. I don't think that he's up to the level of some of these. I would put the 8 and the 3 far ahead of him, and probably even the 2 as well. Although at 46-1, if you're using on the ticket, I have no problem with that. He's definitely one to look at. I was looking at the show pool here just to check to see if anyone wants to get a little bit crazy with the 8. There's only he's only got 41% of the pool right now. But again, that's the place that I'd always kind of look. I mean, you know, show better. That sounds a little bit crazy, but if someone's going to take a shot on him, I would definitely land on a horse like Mystic. And you know, if he ever explodes, you might be able to get a nice return.
I will say the 10-second tier I would have liked a lot more had the 1 and the 2. I mean, the 2 does like to lead from the gate, but especially if the 1 liked to lead from the gate. Yes, this horse led early on in the qualifier, but look at the times of the qualifier. They went 31 and 2 for the first. So yes, this horse is out front, but I don't think this horse has natural gate speed. So that'd be my concern.
Yeah.
Question here real quick before this race starts. So we saw in the last race, the 1 went off stride before they went, and they just went without the horse anyway. Does it make a difference if it's like a favorite that goes off stride? How do they decide when they do a recall and when they actually race?
So they only will recall if there's broken equipment or interference before the start. So if you're just a horse that misses the gate, you know, so be it, right?
Okay.
And by the way, Steve Byron, so talking about the horse Greg, gets away in the 2-hole right now. That probably won't stay that way. But again, you know, more experienced, you know, guy, been around a long time, and he drove a little more aggressively off the gate, 93-1. He is, you know, my price play on the ticket.
And I'm nervous. I didn't use that horse. I was like, should I put this horse on?
Yeah, I did not pick him in the journal. You see Chris right there looking over his shoulder, already checking to see where Macho Martini is. He wants to release him, which he does immediately, of course. And now he's going to get the garden trip sitting behind this horse. So we talked about Mystic, that he is the most logical one after Macho Martini, and now he gets the garden trip in behind him. Now it looks like.
Do you consider that a lot of work? What he did? I mean, he was essentially like way in the back and just made a big sweeping move. Do you think that they'll take anything out of this horse?
Not for him, I don't think. I mean, if he was like, you don't want to be betting some big price play that makes that kind of a move. But like I said, I think this one's really special, and I think what Bob McClure wanted to do there was let everyone settle and then come around them. He's really good and very talented at kind of letting things settle and then coming at them. That's what Bob does on a lot of horses. So you kind of create your own speed. And again, he looks pretty solid right now. Trotting up a storm coming home. Mystic, you know, not really firing like I thought he would off this trip, especially in the 6. You know, Master Grand, you know, didn't really like this horse much at all. And he's firing home for 2nd right now. So very interesting stuff.
Coming home strong.
There's your rookie season. Yeah, he's going to get 3rd.
Wow. That's a nice, wow. That's going to pay nicely. 50-1 underneath, 27.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, you know, for the sake of beating a 1-9 shot, he is the real deal. And it comes down right now in this division. We're not going to see it on this broadcast, but him and Tokyo Seal Street, who we spoke about earlier, they're the 2, you know, monsters of this division.
Well, you sold me on the horse. So obviously, I mean, I feel good about my bet. I mean, it didn't work out. Feel good about the bet though. It just didn't have the price. Another inquiry here. So we'll see what that's about. I noticed that I didn't see the 2-horse much. I wonder if
Yeah, he
something
was
happened
real
with
far
that one.
back. I don't know what happened to him. I was gonna say it was kind of a disappointing effort, but he was at the back. Like at one point, he wasn't even on the trackus.
Yeah, I did see some confusion at one point. I thought the 7 was going inside pylons, and he wasn't. There was like he was kind of inside there, and they were kind of stacked up 3 wide all of a sudden. So
That was
wow,
right
yeah, look at
before
him
they're
there.
entering the turn.
Wow, what is this going on? I mean, was that horse taken off like out of the race, or what? That horse I guess came back in? Can you do that? You can go outside the pylons and then come back in.
if you so basically the pylon rule is one of the well, let's call it one of the most controversial rules of the sport.
Okay.
The way that it works is if you're forced off the track, as long as you then kind of establish position, you're okay. But you have to come back on at the first opportunity. The way it works is that if you go inside 2 consecutive pylons and you're lapped on at the wire, you're placed behind that horse that you're lapped onto. So that means if you finish within a length of a horse, you will be. So the inquiry is actually on the 6.
Wait, this might be good for me.
Yeah,
I have 8 over 3.5. Who finished
you might be able
4th?
to cash a ticket based on this.
Wait, do we see who
But
finished
if you
4th?
go inside 3 pylons, you're automatically disqualified. So it's kind of an interesting, rule, and there's a lot of interpretation there, and that's why it does kind of bring about some controversy at times.
Okay, I had one other off-stride rules type question. So, what's the name of that horse that we've now bet 2 weeks in a row, and who both weeks went off stride?
Muscles Dynasty, I think that's his
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
So what is it? Is it like in the horse's DNA, or like how why are some horses more like? I mean,
Yeah.
or are we just watching something that's like an anomaly with that?
If we could figure that out, Dan, we could probably make a lot of money because we could go buy all these horses that break stride. I mean, I've had some really, when my family, we had our own training center and horses. We had some real nice ones that just you couldn't get them to mind their manners, and even trying them out with different trainers, it's just sometimes it's a mental thing.
Is it like a maturity thing? Is that what it is?
Sometimes, but I mean, we had an H trotter that would just break for no reason. He'd be behind the gate, and he might just look into the crowd or see a light post, and he'd break stride, right? With young horses or even older ones, sometimes if they do make a lot of breaks, they will try trotting hopples. So pacers wear hopples, and that helps them keep their gait. It's basically like a contraption they wear on their legs to kind of force them to keep.
Has schooled me on this, yes.
Yeah, to keep their gait. So there's one horse recently, I think her name is She Rocks Kemp, that couldn't stay flat for the longest time. They put trotting hobbles on, and now she's improved dramatically. So it is something that you can definitely try on a horse that is breaking stride. Some drivers too, like you'd be shocked how many times you'll see a particular driver just knows what to do to keep a certain horse flat in a mile, and then someone else jumps on the bike and the horse runs all over the racetrack. So
interesting.
There's an objection as well, and it's funny because Aaron Byron used to be the regular driver of one of my best horses that we traveled around with, and he's a friend of mine. So I was kind of happy that he trains and drives this horse, and he finishes second in a gold, which would be a huge moment for him. But now there's an inquiry and an objection. So
now we've got some rooting interest. Gio Ponte chiming back in, has the 8 over 6.510 try. Just needs, obviously, this result to stand for a pretty decent try. You do have 1 to 9 on top, but when you got 50 to 2 to 1 in second and 27 to 1 in third, it's going to pay all right. So I certainly hope this stands. Do you have any thoughts on whether this will stand? Have you seen enough here to
I'll be honest, they haven't really showed us much yet. And I didn't really see much. I was watching Macho Martini, the Macho Martini show. I didn't really see what happened in behind him there. I saw the 6 made a big sweeping move, and like I said, there was definitely, here we go now. There was some confusion down the backside. There's the 6 is right at the back right now. Just trying to see what he does.
Oh wow, it's all the way back there.
Yeah, he comes from a long way out of it. He's following the 1.
Oh, he pushed the 6, the 10 in.
Yeah, he might have. I mean, we got to see the head-on shot, but if he caused that, then I mean, it's not looking good. Let's see here.
And that's what you're wondering about. Looks like it happened with the 2, Dan. I think that's the 2.
Yeah, there was definitely some confusion on the backside. I saw that when even the 7 veered in, and
that looked pretty dramatic. I feel like in thoroughbred racing, if you made another horse do that, they would probably DQ you. Oh,
yeah. So I mean, that's the 10 coming into the 7. I just trying to see if it's really the 6. You can see the 6 is kind of cranked around there. So that body language isn't really good for the horse staying up because he's kind of on a line there. Let's just see how bad it is when he does come over. There's a horse kind of the horse up in front here kind of makes it difficult to see.
You can't see if he was actually pushing on wheels because that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks like they kind of trade paint, but this decision is going to be above my pay grade because it looks really bad from this angle, but from the other side, you can't really tell if it's him. Like right there's a horse coming underneath him, right, and then he kind of forces him back inside, and then right here is where it's going to happen. But there's already seems to be a little bit of confusion, with the 7 kind of. He wasn't inside the pylons, but the field was kind of off the pylons, right? They were kind of, I would say, about in the 1.5 path, and he kind of goes inside of those horses. So this is a tough one.
is it the same as with the thoroughbred? Are there like 3 stewards who are looking at this right now?
Yeah, 3 judges right now, and it basically they go with the majority, obviously hoping it's unanimous, but like the 10. You wouldn't think he's going to veer inside for no reason, and I'm assuming that's who put the objection in is going to be Guy Gagnon, the driver of the 10. And
I've never seen inquiry and objection in harness racing. I've seen it a lot in thoroughbred racing, but you don't see inquiry and objection.
It was funny. The question was asked of me the other day on Twitter because there was a very obvious disqualification last weekend, and someone said, "Well, there should have been an objection," but I said, "Well, the judges put an inquiry up. If you're the driver, you don't really have to put an objection up as well, right?" So they're going to talk to everyone involved at that point in time, and they're going to investigate it. I don't think it really helps the claim, like, oh, there's an objection as well. I think once it's under review, it's under review.
Well, Gio's a little biased, but says looks like the 6 maintained a straight course. So but hey, it's hard. It's really hard to tell something. There's no real head on here that we've seen that kind of gives us.
We saw the one head on, but the problem is there's you have 2 horses and you got one in front.
I can really. Yeah, exactly.
To me, it looks like as Robert described it, as there's paint exchange. I mean, it looks like tires kind of hit each other, and you can't tell though from that angle where was the momentum shift from which horse onto which horse.
Like, I'm not going to go on record here and make a decision in any way, shape, or form. But I would say that if this is like football or hockey, they're going to say inconclusive. But again, keeping in mind, they're going to be talking to the drivers involved as well. And actually, I don't know. I think that there might have been a little bit of it might have been a little mutual there. But again, they'll be getting a better idea from all those guys right now through conversations, much like in thoroughbreds, they talk to the jockeys and try to get an understanding of what exactly was happening out there.
Well, this is the first bit of live drama we've had here at Mohawk. Oh, official. Oh, well, unofficial, but the inquiry sign is down, which is good. So, and good, of course, because I've now I've internalized Gio Ponte's wager.
Good. And you actually surrendered your own ticket.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I want the people to be happy. So
for the people.
That's awesome. So as we're waiting for this to go official, another Sean Patrick Nolan here, who we absolutely love. Incredible 7-1 on debut with Macho Martini. Still shocked that he got that price on debut. It is crazy when you look back at some of these really great horses, both again in harness and thoroughbred racing, where you find, man, they let that horse go at that price on debut.
Yeah.
So
incredible.
So there it is. It goes official. The Dollar Tribe paying nicely, $84. I mean, damn, with a 1-9 shot on top, $84. That is a really, really solid payout. So
crazy thing is, if you add Mystic to the Super, 361. I mean, that's wild.
That is really good. Wow. All right, time of the night where before we go to race 3, we're going to kind of look ahead a little bit and ask Robert to drop his singles, his long shots, whatever it is, so that we can continue playing once the show is over. So what do you got, Robert?
All right, so remember last week, we didn't really come close on our pick 4, I don't think, but our single in the last, Tuapika Jesse, jogged. So that's always good when you do
well, that's
the horse that you love.
When you talk singles, I could sense the confidence in you. When you tell me, look, I've got a horse for you, you single that horse. Now, some of these other races, like you told us in the first race tonight, I don't know. Just go all. Just go all on that damn leg.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
The first place we're gonna land, it's for my best bet. So let's go in chronological order here. And my best bet on the card falls on race number 7. Now, the horse is 3-1 morning line. I'm not expecting that. But if you can get like 9-5 or 2-1, I think you're doing pretty well. And it's number 2, Virtual Success, trained by Rob Fellows, driven by Louis-Philippe Waugh, the man that we saw earlier, can manufacture speed. First time that Waugh is driving this one. And this horse has come from out of it off of 2 really bad starting spots, post 9 at Woodbine, which, as we know, is death. Got bet down in that first start, still couldn't get away off the gate, finished with pace, came back at Grand River in the grassroots again, and, closed up nicely. Again, post 7 there is pretty close to the 9 hole here. Draws post 2 tonight, and I think this horse is primed for a massive effort. Really soft spot, too, for this one, racing in the grassroots, which is, again, kind of the B division. The goals are the A horses. The B division is the grassroots. Well, now this is like a restricted race for grassroots horses that have not earned $5,000 in their life. So really, really, really soft company for this one tonight. And I love number 2, Virtual Success, and race number 7.
Before you move on there, it is interesting because I think what I've also picked up from listening to you and Ashley talk over the past few weeks about these races is that I really feel, maybe it's because I just don't have as good of a grasp on the conditions here. Once you've got the conditions down, you could really, some of that stuff really just kind of presents itself. Like just what you just described a moment ago, it sounds like a straight conditions play. Yeah.
So like we talked about, like I like in the grassroots races, kind of like college football in the sense you have horses that are in very, very low non-winners of 5,000 life, non-winners of 1, meeting horses that are non-winners of 5. So like your margin of ability is massive. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they'll let horses go off. Like you'll see a horse in non-winners of 1 that just had this dominating victory in, 153 or 152, and that horse will get bet down when, I'm going to say something crazy right now, but time doesn't matter. Time does not matter as much as class. So I'm always looking for those horses that are racing against tougher. And in this spot here now, you're looking at horses that are racing in that B division, but haven't even made $5,800 yet. And I think that everyone else in the race has had their opportunities for the most part. And the 2 Virtual Success hasn't yet. She's had horrible posts and horrible trips, and tonight is going to get probably sent down the road or very close to it, and hopefully run off the screen.
All right. If you're playing the pick 5 tonight, starts in race 6. Virtual Success with confidence there. You could use in the second leg of the pick 5. The pick 4 starts in race 8. In past weeks, you've given us a pick 4 play. Do you have one tonight? Do you feel confident in anything in the late pick 4?
Yeah, so that's my role for the broadcast show is to submit a late pick 4 ticket. No like crazy single tonight. I am singling the first leg, and it's a horse we've already spoken about on the broadcast tonight, and that's Tokyo Sealster. Okay. In the other division of the OSS Gold, he is my key. I think that they're going to be up against it trying to beat him. There are a couple horses in there that I do think are piece plays, but I think that Tokyo Sealster will get the job done on the front end again. And then after that, so he's a 7 in race number 8. I'm on 2, 4, and 6 in race number 9. The 6 being my top choice in there. The 2 will probably end up favorite. But 2, 4, 6 in race 9. In race number 10, I like 1, 2, 3, and 10. The 2 is a second-time starter who I was really impressed with qualifying, and then equally impressed with in her debut when she kind of got into a little bit of traffic trouble on the inside. And then in the last race tonight, I land on the 1, 3, 4, and 8, with my top choice being the 3, who will likely be the favorite. So $48 ticket for $1 tonight. No crazy singles, but I do like the sequence, and I think you can start off with the key in Tokyo Sealster. And then if you really want to play pick 5 tickets starting in race number 6, I think you could probably key Virtual Success in the 7th and Tokyo Sealster in the 8th. And now you've got 2 singles and 3 legs to look for a price.
Well then, now you set yourself up. But who do you like in race 6? Who do we bet there?
Race number 6, you guys are going to get on my case about this one.
Okay.
My pick 5 ticket is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Go all!
So I'll use an all for you guys, but I like 1 through 7.
All right. Ashley, they're coming up to this 3rd race here. What do you think about this one? Who are you going with here?
The 4 Tint of Mint definitely stands out on paper. I'm just very consistent the last 2. It depends what sort of numbers you want to use. I'm using Trackmaster. I mean, was second 2 back, and then last time out wins, was on top, then sat, wins by length with a 27 back panel. They went 151 and 4. The previous race they went 151 and 3. Looking at a lot of these other races, I mean, these are speedy races. The one's a little interesting. Truffle Dog, last time out had the 6th post. You can see was in that Sire Stakes, that lower kind of level there. Was second and came from out of it. Was really motoring late, and then you saw right in the start before that had the inside post and was 3rd, beaten by half a length. So I think this one's kind of versatile, and I think can adjust to the post. I'm not super concerned about moving back towards the inside.
SPN is with you. Sean is with you.
He's the ultimate cheerleader and rooter, so that means we're gonna have a good shot here. I will say my price play is the 8. He refuses to lose. This is from the Armada of Tony Alagna. This one they obviously had some higher hopes for in those Kentucky Sire Stakes races, and even in the final didn't fare well. But since coming to Woodbine, I mean, respectable efforts each start. Obviously, the post is less than ideal for this one. Had the 9 post 2 back and really couldn't make up a ton of ground late, but one last time out, so I think the price is right at 15 to 1 for underneath.
I love a horse here, guys.
Give it to us, quick!
The 9, the outermost post, the 9, going fast has been incredible. His last 2 starts, he was the horse that created a big price in the pick 4 2 starts ago. Last start finished 2nd to 1 for Julius. So you guys remember he ran off the screen. If this horse can figure out a way to get into the race from post 9, I don't see them beating him. He's 5 to 2 right now. He's like literally just like he breathes new air now since Trevor Henry has jumped aboard 2 starts ago. Again, how's he going to get into the race from post 9? We'll see, but that's who I love in here.
All right. Oh, so Ash, I think you're up for a race call, aren't you?
I don't like this. Hey, my 8 is in the race real early, so I'm okay with this. Yeah, we see the 9 is interesting. It's gonna make a move here. It looks like didn't really get out necessarily right away. 2's right behind, has some cover. Then behind that one looks like it's the 4 Tint of Mint, who I really liked. 9 you can kind of see is now 1 over from the inside. He's going to go. Yeah.
Crazy.
This is kind of what Robert was talking about. This horse, though, wasn't the sharpest off the gate, but now is just gone.
This is the night for the 9s.
Yep, the 4s now also decided to kind of make a move. And then after those top 4, I mean, it's kind of strung out from there. See the 3, then you see the 1 Truffle Dog, and then no one else right now on the track is from there. It's really hard for me to see.
All right, Gio Ponte, by the way, said he was using your ticket, your horses, Ashley, with the 6. We got a couple people that are on 2, 4, 6. So, and then we have some people using the 10 as well. So whoever's got the 2, 4, 6, looking okay at this point. But it looks like they've gone fast enough. Am I right?
Yeah, they just having 55. I'm happy the 9 released the 4 because I didn't want to see him cutting it after that tough move to the lead. But let's see now what happens. Hopefully he gets some room. He's in tight quarters.
The 8's looking for
came out.
Wow.
Bring that
really
eight
need
back.
Trevor here, guys. He's coming forward now. Who's on the outside, though? Sir, oh, wow. This is a horse that's second time a Moreau. The 9's going by. I need to hold off Ashley's 8 now.
Oh,
And
8's coming.
if I can get the 3 up for third, that could be okay for me.
You got to try? It's a good try if you
I'd
got it.
try.
983.
Yeah, I might. I'll be very small though, guys. But 5-2 on this horse. 5-2 on this horse is an incredible price. It really is. Because remember, you guys remember One for Julius last week.
Mm-hmm.
One for Julius last week, like demolished them at 1-5 or maybe 1-9 even. And this horse was the only one closing on him at the wire.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I really thought that they'd get him into the race early, which they did. It's very close for third there.
I think the 3 got up.
So I have an exacta because I played 149 over the 8, and then I back wheeled it just for safety.
That's a nice one.
The $2 exacta looks like it's going to kick back 9.8, 71.90.
Nice.
Wow, that's great. It's a really good payout.
Yeah, the three was a horse that who gets up for third, we think, right? Yeah, he got up for third, 23-1. He was a horse that I actually played last time at that's why it's important, if you're betting harness racing, to keep your eye on the B tracks. We played him last time at Georgian Downs. He got beat as the favorite, first time Richard Moreau, second start today, Richard Moreau, and he hits the ticket at a big price. Didn't make it into the journal because he was kind of like a further down horse for me, but it was worth a play at 23-1. But again, I'm just happy at 5-2. I'll be honest with you. So I do have a network of guys I talk about the harness racing to, and they kind of thought I was crazy with the 9-hole in this horse today, and just said, well, he's been racing really good, but and I really felt strongly about him. So I'm set up nice with some pick 5s right now, 2 singles in races 2 and 3.
Nice.
And now we'll see what happens from here.
Nice. Gio Ponte giving you the kudos there. Sean Patrick Nolan conceding that he may have jinxed Ashley. Daily double, 5-2. Happy with that price on the 9. If I remember correctly earlier, he was playing the 9, so winner there. Want to mention before we sign off tonight, we got a couple of minutes left. I've got a quick little preview video of the second edition of a show that we're doing on Saturdays in conjunction with the Breeders' Cup. It's called Breeders' Cup Live. The hashtag is BC Live. We'll just show you this quick video, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Hashtag BC Live, Breeders' Cup Live. We are so excited to be streaming today. Larry Colmus. Larry, how are you? And let's handicap this race quickly. Wow. What a run. Wow.
Well, there are my 3 horses, though.
Tell us who you're picking right now.
Steven here says he likes a Dr. Post. One of my favorite people.
All right, Farron.
Good.
Here it is. Photo finish.
Who was it? So this Saturday, we're going to be looking at the Win and You're In races for the Breeders' Cup, the Personal Ensign, and the Whitney from Saratoga. We'll also have a bunch of other coverage. The races from Saratoga, Ren Carruthers will be joining me along with a bunch of other guests. So check that out on the Breeders' Cup social media channels as well as the ABR social media channels. But you don't have to wait till Saturday to get your previews of racing from Saratoga, because tonight, Ashley, just leg 1 here, just leg 1, long night ahead. She could use some of that Timmy Hortons right there.
There you
She
go.
could use some of that coffee.
Only I drank coffee.
You know what though? It's only tea for me, Dan. Only tea for me.
Hey, that's got the juice in it. All right, Ashley, tell us what you got going on later tonight.
Yeah, so starting about 10:15, if you head over to Anita Marks's Twitter handle, you can watch our live stream. We'll go through about 4 races, I think, from Saratoga tonight. We'll start with the Personal Ensign, and then we'll move on from race 9 through 11, which starts with the Whitney. I really think looking at kind of the races, obviously the Whitney, everyone's been talking, it's a compact field, but it's very competitive. As far as kind of the Breeders' Cup Classic rankings, I think, Dan, you're involved in this too. With kind of, ranking the horses. Tom's d'Etat is at the top for the last 2 weeks since that started. So I think this is kind of going to have a big play in that, just to see how he performs. But by my standards, it's in their code of honor. And then Mr. Buff, I mean, it's a field of 5, but it's a really competitive field. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. I'm really looking forward to the race after that, the Jerkins. I really think that's probably the best betting races of the ones we'll cover. I'm going to look to a price in there, which I won't give away now, so you will have to stay up till 10:15 to watch it.
All right.
But yeah, it is a really good card from Saratoga, and so we're going to go through those 4 races in an hour.
All right. Well, check that out at Anita Marks on Twitter. If you're looking for it on Facebook or YouTube, you can check it out on ABR's YouTube and Facebook channels. Before we go, in case you missed it a moment ago, Robert's best bet of the night is still to come. Race 7, it's the 2-horse Virtual Success. And then his late pick 4 ticket, if you want to jot it down quickly. Race 8, he's singling the 7, Tokyo Sealster. After that, race 9, 2, 4, 6. Followed in race 10 by 1, 2, 3, 10, and closing it out in race 11 with 1, 3, 4, 8. It's a $48 ticket. Of course, if you're watching this on replay, you could rewind it, hear him explain why, or you could just rewind me telling you what the ticket is. And you could always check him out on the Horse Players Journal inside the program from Woodbine Mohawk. Want to thank my wonderful guests, hosts, friends, fellow handicappers, Robert Reed Jr., Ashley Mailloux, and Emily Gullikson was with us earlier. We do this every Wednesday. There we go. I did it again. Every Thursday night. Every Thursday night.
It's definitely Thursday. Do
which
not
I
tell me it's
confuse with
Wednesday
Wednesday night. I sometimes show up here on Wednesday nights, and I'm like, where is everybody? What's going on? Why is no one here? Every Thursday night we do this. Woodbine Live, 6 to 8 p.m. on ABR's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube channel. So join us next week. We will see you soon. Thank